Tonight on CKPG News, a follow-up on the decision by the U.S. Department of Commerce to increase softwood lumber duties on Canada and how it will impact BC. Plus, the BC Greens are calling on the government to implement a Clean Air Act. And a local teenage girl won Miss Teen Western Canada during the National Personality Pageants Canada competition. Good evening, folks. I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. We begin tonight with the softwood lumber dispute between Canada and the United States, which has been going on for decades. And typically, Canada wins in the world courts. But new duties have been imposed by the U.S. Commerce Department, and they couldn't come at a worse time, especially for BC. Cheryl Jan has tonight's top story.
Every year, BC lumber producers ship roughly $4 billion worth of lumber into the United States. But American producers have convinced the U.S. Commerce Department to impose two forms of duties on BC, countervailing and anti-dumping. The U.S. argues the harvesting practices of Canadian producers constitutes a subsidy, hence the countervailing duty. Anti-dumping is different again.
The anti-dumping duty is related more to the sort of allegation that Canada is selling its product into the U.S. at a price that's lower than what they're selling into Canada or below the cost of production.
Canada has historically prevailed in this argument, but it is costing industry a bundle to the tune of $9 billion held in deposit. But the latest round of duties, an average of 14.5%.
It's a major irritant. Certainly this has been raised by myself with the federal government and with my counterpart here, the American Consul General in Vancouver. And certainly I know the Canadian government has raised it repeatedly.
And it couldn't have come at a worse time.
BC has been facing a lot of challenges, particularly on the supply side, with land use policies that have limited our access to fiber, and our cost structure has gone up over time. And then you combine that with sort of, I would say, weaker conditions more recently on the demand side, just with high interest rates. That's led to sort of a kind of weaker markets.
Industry advocates north of the 49th have long argued tariffs affect American consumers in a big way, driving up the price of lumber in the States.
The way that this dispute has gone, though, is within the U.S. It seems like even though that is a huge impact, I think some people have calculated that, and that's a massive impact to the United States as a whole. But it seems like the U.S. producer has their voice has been triumphed.
And the schedule to take this matter to appeal is a lengthy one. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
As BC faces yet another summer of smoky skies and air quality alerts, the BC Green Party is calling for urgent action to protect the health of British Columbians. Adam Burrell spoke to the leader of the BC Greens to find out more on what they're calling for.
Wildfire smoke, exacerbated by prolonged periods of drought and extreme heat, has become a common feature of summers in BC. Prince George has been lucky this summer in terms of fewer days of wildfire smoke lingering over the city. However, wildfire smoke presents serious health risks, and the BC Green Party is calling on the provincial government to immediately adopt the Clean Air Act, which was introduced by the Greens back in April.
The Clean Air Act would do a couple of things. One, it would measure air quality, and it would ensure that people are informed about that, and then take steps to ensure that there are indoor clean air spaces for people, particularly in times of really severe air pollution, largely from forest fires.
One step in the Clean Air Act plan would provide funding for portable air cleaners with HEPA filters to ensure that homes will have clean air. The Greens plan would also invest in clean air centres, prioritizing communities with the highest susceptibility.
The proposal we're making is really look at public buildings first, start with schools, childcare centers, senior centers, public buildings, recreation buildings, libraries, and ensure that there are spaces for people to know that they can go and have clean air.
The proposed measures will require an initial investment of $125 million in the first year and $65 million on an ongoing basis. And First Now says taking the cost will be beneficial in the long term. According to 2016 estimates from Vancouver Coastal Health, the total economic cost of all health impacts attributable to air pollution in BC is $14 billion per year.
Taking steps to keep people healthy is a much more cost-effective approach to health and well-being than waiting until people are unwell and trying to deal with that. What we're proposing is a solution that can be implemented quite efficiently at not a very high cost, but that will ensure that people do have that capacity to stay healthy in these events.
The Greens Clean Air Act will also expand investments in forest fuel management and supporting prescribed and cultural burning to reduce wildfire intensity. Adam Burles, CKPG News.
And Adam Burles joins us in studio now on a little bit of a different topic, kind of related though. We're just going to update you on what's going on wildfire situation-wise across BC, excuse me. So, Adam, let's start here. What are the current number of active wildfires in the province?
So we're down again, the number of active fires in the province, just below 400 at 398 fires as when I last checked. So that's good in terms of progress. A lot of smaller fires getting knocked out by BC wildfire crews, and some of those larger fires, and particularly wildfires of note, getting under control as rainier and cooler conditions have really impacted the southern part of the province, where the majority of that fire activity has been over the last couple of weeks.
Now, I wanted to touch on this. We were speaking earlier that the spending has been down this year. Is that a good sign for the wildfire fight?
Well, it seems like, I mean, we've spent $387 million so far this year on firefighting efforts, which is down from this time last year. So which is a good sign. I mean, the fact that we're spending less resources have to be deployed, but still the fact that we are still spending $387 million on wildfires and we're not through August yet still is a lot. So it's an interesting situation. You look at it as a positive, but you can also look at it as kind of as a negative as well. Well, we still had to spend this much as opposed to years past, 2020, for example. So certainly good news in the fact that we haven't spent nearly as much as we have last year, for sure.
And how are things looking, I guess, in the next week, couple days? What's the outlook?
So the outlook for our region in particular, for the Prince George and northern BC, we're going to see a cooler trend. It was 24 degrees today. We're going to see temperatures dip down a bit. We're going to see some more precipitation in the forecast, which is going to help. And particularly, no thunderstorms are in the forecast as of right now, which is always a good thing. We don't need any more additional lightning strikes striking the torched and dry ground, because things are still very dry. Even though we've had a lot of rain so far, in July particularly, the ground dries up very quickly, especially when we get those hot spells.
Right.
So some good news in terms of rain showers in the forecast, snow lighting. And that's going to be the case for the southern half of the province too. They're going to see a reprieve in terms of cooler temperatures, rain in the forecast, as opposed from highs of 34, which they've been having for the last while now.
So essentially some mild good news here, but we're still not out of the woods
We're
yet.
not out of the woods yet. It's still August. Wildfire season can go into September, of course, as it kind of did last year. So it's always a matter of just keeping your eye out and being sure to report any fires that you see, and always keeping a check out on the BC Wildfire website too. They have the most up-to-date information on all the fires burning throughout the province.
Adam Burles, we appreciate you as always.
Thank you.
And the Robson Valley has been hit hard by wildfires. Highway closures and tourist activity has been uncertain, but there are events happening in the region. This weekend, the Robson Valley Music Festival is underway, and it is open for business.
There's about 35 artists of diverse music, so that'll be going on 3 different stages. We've got an acoustic stage, and then we've got 2 stages in the main stage area that switch back and forth. And then we've got a workshop tent for music stuff going on, music and dance stuff. And we've got an art tent that's got art thing going on in there. And then we've got a kids zone. So we have a kids stage, we've got a kids play area. We've also have workshops going on for kids there. There's food vendors, there's artisans, we have a beer gardens and camping areas. So everything. We stop ticket sales Thursday night at midnight, just because it's all goes into the system. We don't do gate sales. I mean, if somebody showed up with money in hand, we're not going to say no, but we'd rather just have it all in the system.
If you've seen 20-year-old Logan Robert Thomas Roy Hall, contact the Quesnel RCMP. Police report that Logan has not been seen since August 1st. He was staying at the Grace Inn in Quesnel, but was reported missing to police on Monday after staff had not seen him in almost 2 weeks. They say it's unusual for Logan, as he's often seen with other people at the inn. Logan is 6 feet tall, 141 pounds, with dirty blonde hair and blue eyes. If you have any information, please contact the police. The BC Cancer Agency has co-opted nurses from all 6 cancer centres for a first-of-its-kind project. It's working to reduce the footprint of their operations on the environment. And the local project is really quite simple. Cheryl Jan explains.
These are called absorbent pads, but they are a thing of the past for the most part in the chemotherapy department at the BC Cancer Centre for the North, due to the work of Bridie Davey.
I felt like there were other options that would create a similar effect, so warm the patient's arm, that had less of environmental impact. So part of my project was to offer alternatives that had a better environmental impact, and part of that was looking at the cradle to grave impact of different options, so like reusable pads, and then again the blue disposable soaker pad. We were soaking the towel in hot water and then wrapping it around the patient's arm.
Bridie Davey is one of a host of what they call the first cohorts here at the BC Cancer Centre for the North.
So it's a planetary health internship, and it was put together by the Knowledge and Research Translation team for BC Cancer, and it was to select like clinical nurses in frontline staff to help implement change, and even on a smaller level.
Bridie's project alone reduced the use of disposable pads by 85%, the equivalent of saving 442 litres of gas. But hers is not the only project. Cyril Lee is a planetary health research nurse.
We had a really rapid rollout. It was really dreamt up in November, December of 2023. And by April 8th, we already had nurses participate and start in the first cohort. I know it's August now, and we've had a whole cohort of nurses go through, have successful projects, and we're now into cohort 2.
Healthcare is one of the least eco-friendly industries, with the constant use of things like latex gloves, masks, and so on.
We have so much excitement, and I have to say, from the very beginning, when we started reaching out to different partners to actually collaborate on working on this program, because a program like this, the development of it takes a village, and so we do have partners from across Canada that have supported the development of this program. There's so much excitement from the get-go.
There is another cohort that has begun on different projects to reduce the environmental footprint healthcare has in general. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
A Prince George teenager recently won Miss Teen Western Canada during the National Personality Pageants Canada competition. And she's using her platform to advocate for the importance of supporting youth mental health. Tommy Osborne caught up with Bryn Muncie and brings us more.
17-year-old Prince George teen Bryn Muncie is the new Miss Teen Western Canada. She recently earned the title during the National Personality Pageants Canada competition hosted in Calgary. Muncie explained a huge part of pageantry is advocating for a cause you're passionate about, which for her is teen and youth mental health.
We've come a long way of being able to actually talk about mental health instead of hiding it away and bottling it up. And I think that's really great, and we've taken a lot of really big steps, but we need more accessible resources for sure. There's not enough.
In preparing for the pageant, Muncie has done a lot of research and has involved herself with several community organizations, like Girls Club, for example, to focus on creating connections and building community.
When talking to my different peers, we have a support system like school counselors and stuff, but quite often I found that my own generation don't trust school counselors because of previous experiences. So this is why I wanted to create a resource that wasn't school counseling, that created more opportunities for people to grow together. I'm trying to make therapy more accessible by creating a free program for youth that can indulge in therapy weekly.
Muncie has already put her ideas into action as she started an organization called Project SHIP, standing for Sharing, Healing, Inspiring, and Progressing.
Through this, I'm hoping to find someone who's going to help me build an app. This app will link with different counseling clinics and provide scheduling and use location to pair the perfect counselor with the perfect client.
Muncie added another large aspect of her work is the Sophia Leah magazine, a magazine made by Pageantry Canada to be distributed freely in schools supporting mental health.
It talks about everything, all the touchy subjects, everything that it might be a little still uncomfortable to talk about, but still needs to be talked about.
The work it takes to be crowned Miss Teen Personality Western Canada is certainly noticed by Munsey's mother, Benita, who is incredibly proud of her daughter, not only for winning, of course, but for all the great work she's done.
That's the part that I'm most proud of. I'm proud of her to put herself out there, first of all, because it's no small feat to stand in front of many, many people and walk on a stage or talk through a microphone. And she's done a lot of work towards, her platform and mental health advocacy.
Going forward, Munsey hopes to continue working to improve mental health and plans on continuing to compete in pageants. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is sitting at $1.66.9 per litre at Costco. The lowest price in the province right now is in Chilliwack at $1.56.9 per litre. Manitoba has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.50 per litre, while BC has an average price of $1.74.3 per litre.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit dominos.ca to join the club.
Here's a little bit of exciting news. All of Prince George is invited to Canada Games Plaza on Friday for a send-off for local athlete Joel Ewart as he departs for the 2024 Paris Paralympics. This event will take place starting at 11 at Canada Games Plaza. Attendees are encouraged to wear red or Canada-themed gear. Now, Joel is a standout athlete in both wheelchair rugby and basketball, as you can see here, but his primary focus this time around is on wheelchair rugby. This will mark Joel's debut at the Games. The TSX is up 142 points to close at 22,760. The Dow Jones is up 243 points to close at 40,008. And Canfor went down 42 cents to close at $14.85.
Good evening again, everyone. We're looking at a pretty uneventful evening for the most part. Today wasn't too bad out there. Local smoke still something that we're watching. Our air quality reading today was actually fair, and in other areas of the region a little bit worse than that. So still the potential to see the smoke and the haze kind of moving in and out of the province as we deal with the wildfires and just depending on the way the winds are going. So this is our satellite. Again, we saw some clouds, we saw some smoke, and of course we saw some sunshine. Futurecast next 48 hours. This is what we're in for. So not a whole lot, but a little bit of instability. An increase in cloud as the day goes on tomorrow. We have the potential for a few showers tomorrow. Very slight chance, probably a better chance as we move into the later part of Friday. So Friday evening especially, and then we're going to clear out quite nicely for the weekend with a return of actually warmer temperatures and lots of sunshine in the mix. 21 degrees, Fort St. John, so a little bit cooler tomorrow. We'll see some clouds out there. The same for us in Prince George. Again, tracking the smoke up through the northeast, especially 33 Kamloops, so starting to heat up again with some sunshine there, although dealing with local smoke in the forecast as well there. 23 Vancouver, a return of sunshine after a few showers. 22 up in Mackenzie, Fort St. James and Vanderhoof, Burns Lake, seeing that temperature into the low 20s as well. A little bit of cloud cover. It's going to be a mainly cloudy day throughout the region tomorrow. A few sunny breaks, as you can see here in some areas, but primarily an overcast kind of a day. 28 in Edmonton. It's warm up in parts of Alberta right now. 28 in Regina, lots of sunshine. Still seeing the potential for some showers in Winnipeg. Further east, though, along the Maritimes, a little cooler with some showers at times, but in through Montreal, 30 degrees, 28. Toronto, of course, factoring in any humidity in those areas, and the temperature really does soar quite substantially. So it is a bit of a mixed bag going into the weekend, but primarily I think we should be under a mix of sun and cloud for both Saturday and Sunday. Again, it's just really tomorrow and Friday that we're tracking some of that instability with the chance of showers and even maybe a thunderstorm in some areas. So a stray shower on Friday for Burns Lake, a mainly cloudy day. It'll be a bit cooler for the next couple, but you can see an increase in temperatures, warmer air coming our way, and we're going to see some sunshine returning. 8 overnight tonight with an increase in clouds in Mackenzie, up to 22 tomorrow, mainly cloudy out there, so it'll be overcast and feel a little bit dull, and then seeing a few showers potentially on Friday with a really cool temperature temperature of 17 degrees before we see that ridge building again, and 25 for the weekend. McBride, 7 and clear tonight, an increase in cloud as the day goes on. Starting things out clear, but again, seeing cloud cover as the day goes on. 21 for Friday and sitting around that for Saturday with the potential for showers as well. Weekend in Quesnel looks really good, actually. 26 and 27 degrees for Saturday, Sunday. You do have a chance of a thunderstorm throughout the afternoon on Friday, 24, and then tomorrow remaining fairly dry, just an increase in clouds as the day goes on. So for us, it'll be a pretty overcast sky tomorrow. 23 are high, so a little bit cooler the next couple of days. Then we see a bump in temperatures for Saturday, Sunday, even into early next week, hanging on to some nice temperatures. Lots of sunshine returning for us just in time for the weekend, but looking at a slight chance of a shower tomorrow afternoon, and especially on Friday. That's where we have afternoon and evening showers that will likely pop up.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
The Toronto Blue Jays return to action tonight in the finale of a 3-game set in Los Angeles against the Angels, and they're coming off a big 6-1 win last night. Jose Barrios will be on the mound this evening for Toronto. Barrios, like many other Blue Jays, has struggled a little bit this year, but he does sport a sub-4 ERA with over 100 strikeouts on the season. Vladdy Guerrero will look to continue his great season. Meanwhile, he homered in last night's game, and that gave him 24 on the season. First pitch goes at 6:38 p.m. tonight. And we'll stick with baseball as we bring you the biggest home runs of yesterday's MLB action, which includes a career-first hat trick in tonight's CKP3.
Starting off with a hat trick.
Soto drives it in the air, deep right field. He has done it again. Juan Soto, his first career 3-home run game.
Not 1, not 2, but 3 homers for Juan Soto against the White Sox, the first 3-home run game in his young career. Soto's scores beat the White Sox single-handedly, as his 2 solo home runs, plus the additional RBI on the other homer, accounted for all 4 Yankee scores. Next up, Showtime.
Oh my word. Goodbye in the good land. Second deck for Ohtani. Second home run of the game. And the Dodgers doubled the lead.
It's a second decker for Shohei Ohtani, who absolutely crushes it, and that's home run number 37 on the season for him. Ohtani continues to lead the National League with 37 home runs, and if he keeps this pace up, he may end up catching Aaron Judge for the MLB lead, as Judge sits at 42 on the year. Finally, a circus catch.
We've got him with the hat. Anthony on a 3-0 pitch, swings away, and blasts away into the hat. Another CNL camp catch.
Cionel Perez was featured on CKP3 earlier this year when he made his 4th hat catch in the last 2 years, and now it's number 5. Perez continues to stake his claim as the hat catch king, which probably won't get him in the Hall of Fame, but will certainly have him featured in plenty of highlight reels in tonight's CKP3.
But that's all for tonight. Thanks for joining us as always, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.